So in this video, I want to continue a conversation around men's peer groups. That's what I run. I live for these peer groups and the tools that we used. So these can be used anywhere. That's the power of peer groups, is that what we learn in the group is particular to that group, but we can take the concepts and the tools and apply them to our life. And that's the whole point. So we can go out into the world and be these best version of ourselves as husbands and fathers and sons and brothers and men and human beings. And one of those that has transformed my life is experience share. So let me tell you about that. First of all, I call this shoulding all over everybody or everything. Men tend to should on the people in front of them. You should do this, right? Usually we'll use that word should, but even if we don't use it, we go into fix it mode when somebody tells us a problem that they have, or even just shares with us something, and we jump in and we start telling them what to do. We start telling them, how it is and how to fix it. And it shuts down a person. And I've had to learn this the hard way because, for a long time, I was a rabbi. And I think clergy in general are put onto this pedestal where we're almost looked at as an emissary of God and, rabbi, minister, father, tell me what to do. And we start to honestly believe our own bullshit as if I can know what another human being should do. That doesn't mean we don't offer insight and guidance, but it doesn't come in the form of you should. It doesn't come in the form of direct instruction. So in a peer group, when we are doing our thing around the table and we're getting into a topic and a man is sharing a struggle or something he's going through, when another man inevitably goes into you should, or have you thought about, or do this, we tap on the table and we just kind of remind them, or sometimes I do it on my heart, to get out of shoulding, because it's a natural reaction, I think, of human beings, but especially of men. Fix the thing. And what happens invariably is it shuts down conversation. I mean, that's exactly what it does. I've seen this in my own life. I'm sure you have too, around, especially with my kids. They'll come to me with a problem and invariably I just go to, you should. And I start telling them what to do. I've been working on pretty hard over the past couple of years, getting out of that and doing what we talk about in men's peer groups as an experience share. Experience share is pretty self-evident. That's what it is. Instead of me saying to one of my kids, hey, you should go work on this problem with your teacher, I'll share with them, I had an experience that is similar to this, and here's what I went through. They'll sift out they'll pick through the nuggets, the gems, what works for them by just listening. If I tell them what to do, number one, it shuts down the conversation. It makes it less likely they'll come back to us the next time. And frankly, who am I to know what they should do? Even with my kids, these are autonomous human beings. They have free will. Of course, at 4 years old is different than 14, is different than 24, but they still have free will, just to varying degrees. Of course, I have to offer some more shoulds to the 4-year-old, but to the 14-year-old less, and to the 24, very few. Because at some point we are able to stand on our own 2 feet, or at least we should be able to stand on our own 2 feet. And that's why, at least I'm a work in progress, doing more and more just experience shares. Sometimes it's called Gestalt, from the psychological, therapeutic worldview of sharing experience. I think Gestalt means something like whole. Because what happens when I'm giving advice or when I'm, directing it at you, I'm not seeing the whole you. I'm seeing the problem. I'm seeing the fragment. When you look at somebody's face, right, you see the whole face. You don't see, 2 eyes and a nose and a mouth and 2 ears. You see the whole of it. If you start getting into the particulars, you're missing the whole. And the same is true with when I'm coaching somebody, but especially in a men's peer group, or when, I'm in a relationship. I want to see the whole of that person, the entirety of their personality, their character, their life journey. Because nobody really lives in this particular moment. You have to see the sum total. And so when we're experience sharing, we're really sharing an entirety of our sort of snapshot of, what we've gone through. And I'm allowing you to see the whole of your life and to find this place for you to integrate this idea or not. You can say, hey, that's not really relevant to me. I appreciate it. Or you can grab some nuggets out of there and make them your own. But this is really why it's so important to not live our lives telling other people what to do, even when they ask. As a coach, as a guide, as a therapist, I get put into this position where people want me to tell them what to do. And there's a piece of me, my ego, that's flattered and can be drawn in and sort of seduced, if you will, into giving them that answer. But it isn't my role. How can I know, in my case, coaching men, what another man needs to do to stay married, to get divorced, to leave his job, to change his profession, to tell, his spouse that he cheated? Of course, I do believe, that there's a right and a wrong way, but this is his life. This is his free will. He stands between himself and his wife, himself and his creator. This is not mine to tell him what to do. And I won't infantilize him in that way. I won't take away his dignity as a man, his free will as a human being, and give him the easy out by pinning it on what I have to say. And that can be frustrating to people. I've actually lost clients that I've worked with because I will not give them hard answers and they get sick of it. And so they go to somebody who will. But that isn't the role of a therapist or a coach or a guide or a friend or a parent even. The role is to be able to listen, to be able to receive everything that's being shared, to be able to empathize for sure, to share life experience in the journey. And more often than not, that is the way to true transformation and to help the person across from you. So instead of the next time maybe shooting on somebody, you'll take a step back, you'll remember this conversation and learn how to experience share.